Hi and welcome to the first of our stability routines. So this routine is going to particularly focus on using your lower body, okay? And then the stability 2 video will be more the upper body. So we've kind of split them up a little bit and you can just mix and match them. You can maybe do 1 week lower body, 1 week upper body, or you can just kind of interchange them. So whatever feels right for you. There's no rules, you can make the rules. So you don't need any equipment for this first video. Maybe just like a towel if you know that you need a little bit of bolstering to get your ribs down when you're lying on your back, then maybe a little folded towel or something like that. Also, there's going to be a little bit of lunge work in this video, so if you have issues with your knees and you need a little bit more padding there, then feel free to use a towel or a cushion or something that's just going to make it a little bit more comfortable for you. As always, listen to your body, and if anything doesn't feel right for you, you can modify as you need to. You can miss that exercise and go on to the next. Or if you're really not sure, give me a shout, let me help you. We're going to start lying down. So lie down on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And here you're noticing where are the back of your ribs in relation to the floor. And if your ribs are lifted, then you're going to want to pop something under your head. Might feel okay today. So we're just going to take some time here for our spine to settle into the floor. And we're just going to take some deep breaths here. Just have your arms comfortably down by your sides, allowing your chest and your shoulders to roll open. And take some deep breaths. Think about the back of your rib cage, sinking deeper into the mat. Think about your pelvis anchoring itself down into the mat. And then just check in through your body, making sure that you aren't holding any tension anywhere. So check your jaw, check your neck and shoulders. How about those abdominals? Are you holding your belly in? Can you just let it be relaxed and soft? Notice if you're gripping your glutes, can you let them go? No tension through the thighs. Your feet are relaxed. Just taking a few breaths here. Long, slow inhale. And an even longer exhale. A couple more breaths like that. And then we're going to start to move with a gentle spine twist. So bring your feet and knees together. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, allow your knees to both roll gently to one side. Inhale as you come to center and exhale over to the other side. Keep moving with the speed of your breath. Inhale, center. Exhale, take it over. Now you can take your knees over as far as you like, but try and keep the back of your rib cage anchored on the mat. So your rib cage isn't moving. It's just your pelvis twisting side to side. So you're getting a true twist through your waist rather than allowing your whole body to roll. So it's a little bit more controlled. And maybe it feels nice to let your head roll the opposite way to your knees. If that doesn't feel nice for your neck, you can just keep your head still in the center. Taking it into windscreen wipers now. So we're going to take our feet wide to the edges of the mat. So feet and knees are wide. Same thing, take a breath, and as you exhale, both knees are going to roll to one side. Inhale through center. And exhale, take it over. Again, you can let your head go the opposite way to your knees if that feels good to you. Or you can just keep your head still in center. Now you can do as many of these as you like. Again, we're keeping the rib cage anchored into the mat, and we're not allowing the rib cage to lift. And this is a really nice movement. It feels really good for your hips. And it's just a really nice, gentle way to get things moving. So feel free to do as many of those as you like. Okay, so we're going to take it into a knee drop, which we already did in the last section, and we're also going to add a leg slide on there. So we're just going to challenge our stability a little bit. So coming back to feet and knees hip width apart, pelvis is in a neutral position, so your hip bones and your pubic bone are on the same level. So you haven't got your pelvis tilted towards you or away from you. Okay, so that pelvis is nice and level. Tailbone is anchored into the mat. I'm going to just move my arms out to the side, but you can just have your arms wherever is comfortable for you.
You're going to allow your knee to drop out as far as it can without your pelvis twisting, and then bring it in. So we'll just do a couple of just the knee drops to begin with. And to the other side, take the knee out as far as it will go without tipping, and then bring it back in. Okay, let's have the leg slide this time. So knee goes out, and then you're going to straighten that leg out on the mat. I'm going to roll so that my knees and my toes are pointing to the ceiling now, and then just slide it back in. Same on the other side, so knee drops out, slide that leg out long, roll so the toes and the knees face the ceiling, and slide it back in. Just keep going, alternating sides. So we're working on mobility and stability here. So we're mobilising the hip, we're mobilising the thigh bone in the hip socket, and then we're adding on a little bit more challenge to the movement. So again, just a few of those on each side. And you might notice that you can drop your knee out further on one side than the other. Just notice, it's always good to be aware of what's happening in your body. From here we're going to go on to a hip lift. So if you do have anything under your head, take that away. Okay, so feet and knees are hip width apart again. We're going to press really firmly into the heels, and we're going to lift the hips straight up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in. Exhale, press into your hips, into your heels, and lift your hips. And a lower back down. We're keeping the back flat. Take a breath in. As you exhale, press. Inhale to lower. Keep your eyes on the ceiling. We don't want to have our head turned. As we lift the hips to the ceiling, we don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on the neck. So you can lift as high as you wish. But what you're making sure here is that when you're at your highest point, that you haven't thrust your ribs, okay? So you're not in that real rib thrust position. The ribs want to be down so that your back is flat as you come up. And also use the backs of your arms. Press the backs of your arms and your palms into the mat. And that will really help to stabilise you. So keep going here. What you're looking for here is that your knees are tracking straight forwards and they're not wanting to roll out to the sides. We're going to do 2 more. And then just rest the bottom down. Just pull your knees into your chest and just give your knees a little hug and rock gently from side to side. Now you can always come back to this movement at any time that you feel you need to just give your back a little rest. We're going to roll onto our side now. So coming onto your side, and we're going to do the clam. Your bottom arm can be out long with your head resting on your arm, or you can have your head propped in your hand. We're going to have the knees bent in front and your feet are roughly in line with your spine. Now pay attention to what's happening with your pelvis here. Has it tipped towards you? Can you get your hip bones stacked one above the other? So for me, I have to kind of send my hip away from me a little bit. Okay, we're going to keep the feet together and open out that top knee and close it down. So you've probably done these with me before, so that you know we're trying to keep the pelvis super still and not allow that pelvis to roll back as we open up the knee, okay? So we shouldn't have any movement through the pelvis. It's just the thigh. Turn it out and coming back in. And I always like to say, imagine you've got a drink balanced on your hip to try and keep that hip nice and still. So we're really working those lateral hip muscles here, which really helps to build strength and stability. Now that strong lateral hip muscle is what holds your pelvis in a really good position. So it's really important that we do have really strong lateral hip muscles. We really need them for when we walk as well. If we're not strong in our lateral hip, it means that we're going to be collapsing every time we take a step. We're going to do a few more here. 2 more. And you can start to really feel it, yeah? If you're feeling it here, it means you're in the right place. Lower your leg down, just give it a little pat and give it a little rub. We're going to straighten our legs out long. Excuse me. Okay, so our legs are out long and then we're going to bring them slightly forwards. It just helps with our stability. And again, think about where your pelvis is. Has it tipped towards you? Can you send your hip away so that your hip bones are again stacked one on top of the other? You're going to reach that top leg away from you and really push that through your heel to try and get both legs the same level. So it's like you're standing on those legs. And we're going to lift and lower that top leg. Keep reaching that leg, make it as long as you can as you lift and lower. Reach the leg. You're creating your own resistance here. So I want you to imagine that you're in a great big vat of treacle. So it's really hard as you lift the leg and it's really hard as you lower. And what you're also looking for here is that you're keeping length through your waist. And as that leg lifts, it's not tipping into your waist, yeah? So keep this area nice and quiet, nice and still. We're going to do 2 more. Last one. Holding at hip height, we're going to do circles now. Keep pushing that through your heel. Keep reaching that leg long. Keep reaching. And then we're going to reverse the circle. Keep it nice and controlled. You can make it again as big or as small as you like, as long as your pelvis is still and it's controlled and you're not flinging. 2 more. Last one. And then lower your leg down. Just give it a little rub, give it a little pat, whatever you need to do. We're going to flip onto our other side to do exactly the same on the other side. Bend the knees, feet roughly in line with your spine. And again, check with your pelvis. How's it tipped? Do you need to send that hip away to keep length through your waist? And we're going to open out that top knee again. Remember, you've got that drink balanced on your hip, so you're not going to allow your pelvis to roll back. So these are fantastic exercises for strengthening. And in fact, anybody that goes to see a physio for most things, back problems, hip problems, knee problems, core issues, pelvic floor issues, they will be given this exercise. So it's a fantastic kind of universal exercise. Good job. Can you do 3 more? 2 more. And your last one, lower that leg down. And we're going to straighten both legs out again and then kick them forwards. Remember, we need to reach that top leg, make it the same length as the bottom leg, and think about length through your waist. And we're going to lift and lower that leg. Keep reaching, making sure again that we're not tipping into our waist. Keep reaching, remember you're in that treacle. We're going to do 3 more. 2. Last one, into circles. Keep reaching that leg long. You can make your circle as big or as small as you like, but control it. And reverse that circle. Keep reaching. 3, 2, and last one. Lower that leg down, just give it a little rub. We're going to go onto our front now. So roll onto your front. Okay, and then you can make a pillow for your head. So one hand on top of the other and rest your forehead down. I'm going to keep my head up just so that you can hear me. And then let's have our feet about hip width apart. Pubic bone wants to be really anchored into the mat. So when you lie on your front, it's really tempting for your pelvis to tilt forwards, which is going to really pull into your lower back and cause compression and nipping in that lower back. So by tilting the pelvis slightly back, by anchoring your pubic bone, it's allowing more space through your lower back. Okay. And if you suffer with problems with your lower back, when we're doing these kind of exercises, you can take your legs a little bit wider. But also the thing to watch is that you aren't pressing your rib cage into the mat and kind of doing that rib thrust. So maybe pulling your ribs away. Okay, so from here, we're just going to reach one leg away from us. Make that leg as long as you can and it will start to lift out of the mat. You're going to lower that leg down and switch to the other side, reaching the leg as long as you can and it will start to lift out of the mat and lower it down. You're going to keep alternating sides. And notice where you're feeling the work. Can you get your lower back to be as relaxed and as soft as possible? Because quite often, your lower back kind of wants to do all of the work. It's used to doing all of the work. And here we're trying to encourage your glutes to do the work. And if your glutes are a little bit lazy or a little bit weak, then the lower back will take over. If you're not sure whether your glutes are doing any work, get your hand back there and have a little feel. As you lift that leg, can you feel your glutes working? And sometimes you kind of need to give them a little bit of a poke to kind of wake them up. Give them a little bit of a massage. You can roll them out with a tennis ball sometimes is a really good thing to do. And then they usually work much better. So keep lengthening that leg. We're wanting to create space in the body the whole time. That's the whole point of everything, is that we're getting rid of compression in the joints. So you're reaching your leg away. Notice if your whole leg is lifting, or whether the knees kind of staying down and you're just lifting the lower leg. Can you lift the whole leg? It's much harder work. Keep going, keep reaching your leg long, reaching. We're going to do 3 more, 2, last one, and lower your leg down. Push yourself up and back into a rest position now. So take your bottom back towards your heels, reach your arms forwards. You can let your head relax down onto the mat. If it reaches, just have a little stretch there. And we're going to come onto all fours next. So when you're ready, let's go onto all fours. So fingers are spread wide, thumbs are pointing towards each other, and we want those elbow pits forward. So the inside of your elbows are pointing forwards. Our knees are under our hips, and our feet and knees are about hip width apart too. Okay, so from here, we're going to think about spreading our shoulder blades wide so that they're not collapsed in towards each other. So our shoulder blades are nice and wide, and our back is in a neutral position. So checking with those ribs. Make sure you aren't thrusting them towards the mat. And think about sending your sit bones towards the wall behind you. Can you unweight one hand? Lift one hand off. Place it down. How about the other side? Can you unweight one hand and lift the hand off without creating much change in your body? You don't want to have to lean your body to one side. You don't want to have your shoulder blades collapsing. So can you disturb your body as little as possible to just lift one hand and then the other off the mat? Yeah. And if you feel that you can and that you're not disturbing your body, then this time we're going to reach the arm forwards and lift it and bring it back in. And the other arm, reach forwards and lift it and bring it back in. Keep going. Alright, let's have the legs this time. So we're going to keep the arms down. We're going to do exactly the same with the legs. We're going to reach one leg out behind, and can we lift without having to shift our body weight to one side and then bring that leg back in. Same on the other side. Can you reach that leg behind and lift and bring that leg behind? And you're trying to keep your body as quiet and as still as possible. Yeah. And then you can either stay here, or you can add the arm and the leg together. So opposite arm, opposite leg reaches, and maybe you don't want to lift, maybe that feels like enough for you. Or maybe you feel that you can control it and you can lift arm and leg and come back in. So you're trying to disrupt your body as little as possible. So if you imagine that I came and balanced a little afternoon tea tray on the back of your pelvis, as you lifted your leg, you wouldn't be twisting and tipping that away because everything is super still. Just do one more on each side, and you can practice that as much as you like, as often as you like, and that's a real good exercise for stability, but also for building strength and stamina. So I do really like that one. Okay, so we're going to come back into that rest position again. So bottom back towards the heels and reaching your arms forwards again. You can rest your head down on the mat if that feels good to you. Maybe take your knees wide and try it with the knees wide and just see how that changes the stretch and see how it feels. Okay, we're going to come back onto all fours again, but we're going to change it a little bit because we're going to come down onto our forearms. So we're going to come down onto our forearms. We want the same distance between our hands as we have our elbows. And then we're going to take one leg out behind And we're going to lift and lower that leg. Can you lift and lower? Keep going, lift and lower. And again here, you're trying to keep your body as still as you can. So you're trying not, as you lift your leg, to kind of arch your back. You're trying to keep your back nice and flat. And you're just really thinking about, again, using your glutes, which is your bottom, and your hamstring, the back of your thigh. And do 3 more. Last one. And then we're going to switch legs. So bring that leg in. Take the other leg out. Again, try and keep your body as still as you can. Make sure that your hands or elbows haven't snuck closer to each other. And then again, can you lift and lower that leg? No change in your spine. Keep a check on those sneaky ribs. And you can keep your eyes down onto your mat. Keeps your head in good alignment here. You could rest your head down if you needed to. That would be fine too. We'll do 3 more. 2 more. Last one. And then again, you're going to sit back, stretch, reach your arms forwards, take your bottom back towards your heels. Circle your arms out to the sides, bring your hands down by your sides, palms facing up. Again, if you can reach, you can get your head down onto the mat. And just have a couple of breaths there. We're going to come up and do some lunge work next. So, as I said at the start, if you have any issues with your knee, feel free to pop a cushion or a rolled up towel under your knee. We're going to come up now into a lunge position. So we're going to have one knee forwards, and we want to make sure that our knee is kind of over our ankle here. And we're trying to get a neutral pelvis again. So make sure that your hips are the same height. So I tend to want to dip and have one hip lower than the other. So I have to really work to try and level out my pelvis before we even move. And then think about a slight tuck of your tailbone, which will bring your pelvis into a neutral position. And you will probably feel a stretch through the front of your hip. And then we're going to take that whole pelvis and just shift it slightly forwards. So we're not allowing the pelvis to tilt. Pelvis is staying in that straight position and we're just shifting it forwards. And then bring it back, do the same thing again. Slight tuck of the tailbone, keep that pelvis in a neutral position and shift it slightly forwards. Now what you're looking for here is that your leg isn't too close to you so that you end up pushing your knee too far forwards. We kind of want to, even when we go into that lunge position, to kind of keep your knee pretty much just over your ankle and certainly not going beyond your toes. You're not going to be moving a huge amount in this lunge position. It's not like we're not going into a yoga lunge. We're not kind of trying to get here. It's just to keep that neutral pelvis. Let's switch and do the same on the other side. So again, you want to fix your hips and make sure you haven't got one hip higher than the other. Find that neutral pelvis, tailbone slightly tucked, and then shift the whole pelvis slightly forwards. And we're just backing out of it. Giving the front of the hips a little bit of a stretch. Now I've chosen to have the top of my foot flat on the floor here to begin with, and that just helps with your stability a little bit. You can go onto the tips of your toes, which just makes it a little bit more unstable. So I kind of like to be here to begin with, and you can absolutely decide for yourself which feels better for you. Okay, one more time. And then we're going to build a little bit on that now. So let's go back to the first side. You'll only do this if it feels okay for you. You can stay with the exercise we've just done if you wish. So level off your pelvis, get that slight tuck of the tailbone and shift the whole pelvis slightly forwards. Okay, now from here we're going to bring our hands together into that prayer position and we're going to twist towards our bent knee. So let's lift tall first as we inhale, create space. And as you exhale, twist towards your bent knee. Jump, inhale, come back to center, lifting tall again. We're going the same way. Exhale, twist towards your bent knee. Inhale, come back to center, lifting tall again. And exhale, twist as far as you can. And inhale, come back to center. We're going to add a side bend this time. So we're going to have our hand on our hip the side that the knee is bent, and the other arm is going to reach for the ceiling. Inhale, lifting tall, and as you exhale, taking it over into a side bend. Now notice here, if your body's wanting to rotate, we're going to keep the body straight and take it into a side bend. Inhale as you come back to center, lifting tall again, and exhale, take it over into that side bend. Making sure again that you aren't rotating, it's a side bend. Inhale, come back to center, find your lift. Last one, and exhale, side bend. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. Lower that arm down and switch sides. So again, where's your pelvis? Get that pelvis nice and level. Slight tuck of the tailbone, push the whole pelvis forwards. Hands come into prayer position. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, twist towards your bent leg. Inhale, come back to center, lengthening again, and exhale, twist. Inhale, center, lift, and exhale, twist. Bringing all of the air out. Inhale, lifting tall. Hand is going to come onto the hip at the side of the bent leg. Other arm is going to reach for the ceiling to lengthen. Inhale, exhale, side bend. Inhale, back to center, get that length. Remember, we're tucking that tailbone to keep a neutral pelvis. And exhale, making sure that you aren't rotating and twisting. We want to keep our body as straight as we can. And come on out and lower your hand down. We're going to come up to standing now. So we're going to come into our standing exercises next, and we're going to do our pelvic list. Feet are hip width apart. Remember your alignment points here, so outside edges of the feet are straight, weight is back through your heels. Pelvis in a neutral position, ribs are relaxed and down. Okay, from here you're going to push all of your weight down into that one leg, which is going to allow the other leg to float up off the floor, and then lower it down. We're going to do the same side, we're going to stick with the same side. Press all of your weight down into that leg. That side of the pelvis is going to shift down, the other side is going to lift, and then you're going to lower. And we're going to keep going on that same side. So you're really working your lateral hip muscles again. So you can cheat with this. You can hike your hip up and shorten that side of your waist. Kind of looks a bit more like that. But you will feel that your lower back is working and is compressing. We're not going to feel anything going on in the lower back. We want the lower back as quiet and relaxed as possible. We want these guys to be doing all of the work. So really pressing down and releasing. Pressing down and releasing. Try and keep your weight back through your heel as well. So notice if you have a tendency to roll forwards onto your toes, and try and keep your weight back onto your heel so that you can really feel your glutes working. Yeah, and then switch, and let's do the same on the other side. So all of your weight now down into that other foot. Keep your weight back through your heel, and can you list on this side? Both legs stay straight. It's a little bit more tricky for me on this side. Ooh, I'm very wobbly today. You'll find that some days your balance is much better than others, and often you can't actually determine why. Okay, so that's your pelvic list. That's just the very basic pelvic list. If you happen to have a yoga block, you can list on a block, which gives you a greater range of movement. So it's quite nice to do on a block as well. You kind of feel that you're getting more movement there, and it's a really nice stretch as you lower your leg back down again. So if you have a yoga block, then have a try with that. We're going to add the leg swing now. So we're going back, feet hip width apart, lifting on one side, so pressing your hip down, allowing the other leg to lift, and then we're going to keep that leg lifted, and we're going to try and swing that leg forwards and backwards with control. So pelvis is staying still, and we're just reaching the leg forwards and back. So this is going to build strength and stamina as well as stability. Kind of a really good exercise to do. Let's switch into the same on the other side. So lifting, press all of your weight down, allow the other leg to lift, and then again swinging that leg forwards and backwards without shifting your pelvis. Now, if you need to hold on to something, hold on to a wall, that's absolutely fine. Keep checking in with ribs.
Make sure that you aren't compromising your form elsewhere to stabilise here, okay? And then just rest. Give your legs a little shake. We're going to come into a release pose now just to finish off this section. So you need a little bit of wall space. Okay, so we're going to lie down on our back and we're going to have our feet on the wall. So we're aiming to have our feet in a tabletop position, and you're trying to get your knees directly over your hips. So it can take a little bit of shuffling around to get into, and it can be quite useful if you have a mirror or somebody there to tell you that you're in the right position, because it can be quite tricky to get there to begin with. But like everything else, it's just a work in practice, isn't it? We're just kind of getting better, we're just refining, we're feeling, we're getting to know our own bodies. So lie yourself down. And then pop your feet on the wall. So our feet and knees want to be about hip width apart. And then you need to kind of shuffle to get yourself in the right position. So I could feel then that my hips were a little bit too close. So from here, I feel like I've got about the right distance from myself and the wall, so that my knees are over my hips and my feet are about hip width apart. Now feel free to bolster your head here if you need to. I like to take my arms out to the side, palms facing up towards the ceiling, and then you've just got to let yourself relax. Take some deep breaths. Allow your chest and shoulders to roll open. Allow the weight of your thigh bone to sink into the hip socket, which is going to allow your pelvis to release and open out. Take some deep breaths. Each time you exhale, imagine that your thigh bones are sinking deeper into the hip sockets. Close your eyes and allow your body to relax. With each exhale, sinking deeper. Imagine that you're laid on a sandy beach and it's that really beautiful white, fine, soft sand. And each time you exhale and your thigh bones are heavy, sinking deeper into the hip sockets, your pelvis is sinking deeper into that beautiful white, soft sand. You're grounded. Your body is relaxed. You feel completely calm, safe, at ease, and it is completely safe for you to let go of any tension that you're holding through your abdomen, your pelvis, your legs, your psoas, anywhere in your body that you feel that you are holding onto tension or stress, any negative emotion, sensation or feeling. Breathe it out. Just let it go. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, let go of any tension, stress, anxiety. Now you can stay here for as long as you like. 10 minutes would be ideal, but you can stay as long as you like. If you feel that it's doing you some good, stay as long as you can. If this movement or this position doesn't work for you, feel free to switch it out for another one. You can do the full legs up the wall movement. You can just lie with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. But this is just giving a little bit more weight to allow your pelvis to release. You can also add a little bit of weight. So you can, if you have like a weighted beanbag or something, you can place something on your knees, just below your knees, to kind of add a little bit more weight. And that kind of feels really grounding and really nice too. Okay, so when you're ready to come out of that, you can, and you can absolutely stay there for as long as you like. So that's the end of our first stability video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Anything that you're not sure about, please share it in the group, and we will figure it out together. And your next video will be coming very soon. Take care. Thank you.